Tonight we're going to change the format. I'm not really set up to do a radio show yet, but this is going to change there are some stuff that's come up, so tonight won't be a book review, it will just be some updated information on something they've discovered. And tonight I'm drinking Arizona green tea. This is not wine or alcohol. Good stuff, though. One of the neat things that's been discovered is the gamma rays that are coming from the center of the galaxy. And there's been different explanations as to where that's coming from, but it's kind of a denial by scientists and NASA, this closed code of silence they have when it comes to the extraterrestrial phenomena, and don't want to accept the factor is that they're looking at a higher civilization. But what we're looking at is what they discovered at Fermi Lab, Gamma Ray Space Telescope, is showing a gamma ray that starts out the center of the galaxy and spreads all the way across the galaxy. So then they're trying to explain as to what is creating that. And what they discover, instead of dust lanes and star-filled patches of the visible light Milky Way, Fermi's whole sky map features a thin, bright stripe of gamma rays emancipating from the galactic plane. Most of it coming from interstellar gas pulsars and stellar mass black holes, which is not true. That's not where that's coming from. But that's what that's what these top-of-the-line scientists are trying to explain and blow smoke up my ass, that that's where that's coming from. But the gamma rays don't just, they're number one, they try to explain as maybe it's dark matter. Well, the dark matter in the galaxy goes beyond the galactic plane. It's more of a round blob that kind of, or circular, that surrounds the whole galaxy, and it doesn't fall into the galactic plane as far as dark matter goes. So it could be coming from dark matter, or the gamma rays wouldn't be in a galactic plane. They would be all over there. They would be all over the place like the dark matter, dark energy. So it doesn't fall into that pattern. So it comes to the question as to why is those gamma rays out there, and why did ET put that phenomenon at the center of the galaxy? Well, it goes into the factor is that anything you send out like rays and it goes across the whole entire galaxy gives you feedback as to what's out there. You can put the entire galaxy under a grid. So it's not like they don't know where everything is at in the galaxy. It's just like what you use to travel around nowadays, a new piece of technology. You put it in your car, and you got a GPS device, and you just punch up your address, and you know where everything's at based on a picture that GPS has taken of the entire planet, and images of streets and stuff. Gives you a good navigation tool for finding everything you need to go to nowadays. So now you don't need a map. So it's the same thing with the pulsars, are aligned pretty much in the galactic plane too, and it's been suggested by Professor Laviolette that it's being used by starships to navigate the galaxy, which is a good explanation, And the gamma rays run the same thing. When you broadcast rays over an entire galaxy, you're getting feedback by something we don't have today's times. We have NORAD, that we have going around our planet, then we can detect stuff coming in. So it's not like we don't have any kind of early warning device out there, but that's about the best we can do. NORAD it was created during the Cold War to detect ICBM launches, but as far as an early warning system, anything that comes into the planet's atmosphere, NORAD will pick it up. That's the only early warning system we have. But ET is beyond that. ET has the entire galaxy under a grid and knows exactly what everything is out there. Because of what it feeds off from those gamma rays, it tells them where all the information, where all the planets are at. It gives them information as to where the suns are all at, and all that gets put into a starship's navigation system, and they can use it as a tool. So it's just like my days when I was in submarines. We every once in a while we would go active. The only time we would go active is when we wanted to navigate canyons and stuff on the bottom of the ocean and stuff, and we start sending pings down there and getting active returns back from sonar. It's just a constant bing, 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 bing. And what you did, when you get that constant return, you get an active image of the canyon floor, and you can move your submarine around out there. Well, the same thing was with these gamma rays. Is it operates on the same principle. It's a steady stream of X-rays out there that allow them to actually see the entire galaxy, put the entire galaxy on a grid. So it's pretty obvious as to what we're looking at the center of the galaxy. But these top-of-the-line scientists don't want to accept the fact that they discovered something extraterrestrial that they do not understand. And you can read here, and this is coming from the Fermilab's X-ray Space Telescope. And now they did find that said that Fermilab collaboration has reported 0 gamma rays detection from 25 nearby dwarfs. But other studies at Fermi have reported tentative detection from two galaxies, Reticulum 2 and Tucana 3. Now, Reticulum, Zeta Reticulum, is one of the extraterrestrial stories. Is the origins of some extraterrestrials that actually visited the planet Earth. It came from Zeta Reticulum. I don't have the book with me, but I did read parts of the story. Maybe it was either on a radio show, maybe Coast to Coast AM. There is a book about it, but that was supposed to be one of the galaxies where they came from. But either way, so it's pretty obvious, and then now this is not in all galaxies. Well, what that would indicate to me is that the extraterrestrials are not in all the galaxies, and those galaxies may not be running around in. They're just going to keep it for some other purpose. So it's not uniform. You say, well, Milky Way galaxy has gamma rays all over it, ring run from the center of its galaxy, but that isn't what we discover in some of the other galaxies. So that would indicate to me that not all the galaxies have extraterrestrial navigating around in the galaxy. They just left it like it is, and we don't know what they're using it for. So that's a possibility. Not all the galaxies have active life. You know, they may be using it for another purpose, or we don't know. You know, or it's not under a grid. At least that's a good question. That's a legit question as to what possibly was the explanation of some of those other dwarf galaxies as to what they're using them for, because they don't have them on a grid. That doesn't mean there's nothing out there. That just means that it's not under a grid. So that would tell me that the Milky Way galaxy is an active galaxy. It's got pulsars for navigation. It's got an active grid around the galaxy, so that's a pretty good sign that we do have extraterrestrial life now back in the Milky Way galaxy, and they are using it for something. Now they try to explain some of the gamma rays are coming from the pulsars, but the pulsars are not a straight stream of gamma rays. It's a pulse doing this, constantly rotating, emitting a transmission. These gamma rays are a steady stream of rays going across the entire galaxy, you're not going to get a good grid from reading a pulsar, but you are going to be able to use it for navigation. So I would rule out that possibility. They also try to explain this dark matter, dark energy. Ming Yang Kuo of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and Beijing University, China, and colleagues in the Physical Review argues that gamma rays excesses might be due to dark matter, dark energy. But it's not uniform. Dark matter, dark energy goes beyond just the galactic plane, so it doesn't utilize, and that's not obviously not where the gamma rays are coming from. So anyways, this story came from Sky and Telescope. So if you subscribe to the magazine, they are doing some interesting stories, but their scientists are standard scientists. They try to explain things through outside an extraterrestrial phenomena. So to me, it's boring, you know. Yeah, they are a good source of information, but you have to weed through the BS between the good scientific data that they are actually getting. Here's another one that's of interest. This came from Scientific America, and they discovered the possible oldest Homo sapiens came from Morocco, which is interesting because the skulls they found in Morocco over 800,000 years old, and Homo sapiens weren't even supposed to be around here at that time. We were supposed to be, our ancestry is supposed to have been around 160,000 years ago. So it doesn't fit into the evolutionary time period of where these skulls came from. In fact, what they originally said that they came from is from Ethiopia 160,000 years ago, and 195 years ago from Amo Kibish, which is in Africa. So, they also found the Jebel Arud face, lower jaw and teeth aligned with those of Homo sapiens, not Neanderthal or archaic human beings. The brain case is elongated like that of an archaic human being. Well, that's what I am. If I turn my head high and sideways, you can see that my head is not oval shaped. It goes this way. And also, you see my jaw is a lot lower than an average Homo sapien. So you can see that there's something different about me. And if it's came from natural selection, I would ask you this: both of my parents are Homo sapiens and don't have this skull. In fact, you know, so it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Obviously, I was created by design. So the Jebel root head remains with the 800,000-year-old fossils found in Spain from a species called Homo anticeros. So now I would, you know, I have Irish and UK roots. So both of my ancestors came from UK and Ireland, and most of the people in Ireland have Spanish roots. Spain invaded Ireland, and the native Irish basically almost fought to the last man. They just, it was a bloodbath. I mean, Spain has a long history. When the conquistadors arrived, they just drew their swords, and if they continued to fight, they would make them fight almost to the last man. So most of the native Irish didn't survive the war, and most of the people in Ireland have Spanish ancestry. So you could say, well, that'd be an argument for the explanation as to how that species ended up in Ireland, and could have been transferred to my, you know, my DNA. That would be an explanation for it. But, you know, But what they discovered though is the dating goes back over 800,000 years old, and then Homo sapiens are not even supposed to be around during that time. So it creates kind of a new question mark as to their dating on the evolution and stuff, and why it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So it's kind of created kind of a mystery as to where all that comes from. It doesn't really fit into Darwin's theory of evolution. There was a book I read that's about this thick, and I haven't read the entire book. It's very thick, but it was put out by Michael Cremo, and it's a very large book, and it shows very detailed commentary on most of the archaeological finds, and what Cremo was looking through and stuff really didn't add up to Darwin's theory of evolution. And it's a pretty good book. It wasn't a bestseller. It's put out there for people like myself who are kind of intellectuals who question what they're being taught in the newspapers and the press and books and stuff. But the book still does exist. I haven't finished it, or I would have done a book review on it. So if you get a copy of it, you can see one of the biggest arguments of what the archaeological finds are that are questionable. Even Louis Leakey questioned some of their finds and stuff, didn't add up, and he was one of their most celebrated scientists in some of the recent archaeological discoveries and stuff they found in Africa. But even he was willing to admit that some of the stuff that they discovered really just didn't add up to evolution, or their dating and stuff wasn't correct, and it just didn't fit in. At least he was honest that it didn't all add up to the formula of Darwin's theory of evolution that they thought they had a legit argument on. But either way, this is kind of I'm not really set up to do radio, but it's kind of a new format. I'll mention that I'm going to convert this kind of over to radio format instead of doing book reviews. I don't have any deals with the publishers, and if you've been watching my reviews, I've kind of been showing you what is kind of missing in those books. Most publishers are only looking for what makes money, or what they suggest makes money, but that isn't always the best book. It's not going to be the best seller, because a lot of people just are not interested. Number one, bestsellers these days in publishing is fiction books. People just like books where they can just fantasize, which is understandable being today's times and the state of the world out there, as people are kind of looking for an escape, which is why people travel and stuff, go on vacation, go camping, or go fishing. They're looking for an escape from the day-to-day life. So, that's there's quite a few publishing companies, and I'm going to eventually write some books, but I mean, the problem is they don't always, depending on who they use, they don't always get good media coverage. They don't get a whole lot of marketing. They just throw it out there, and one of the problems they have nowadays is there's a lack of small bookstores that are willing to take the risk on some of the stuff that's more of a niche that they can market out there. There's not as many of those books out there like the big ones, like your Barnes and Nobles and your Boulders, which I think is finally closed down. So there's really only two main bookstores out there. I think Walden's books finally closed down too. So, I can see eventually the small book stores coming back. Eventually, it'll probably take a small business economy to kind of restructure the publishing industry. But that's eventually probably going to happen. But there's a lot of good books out there. There aren't going to be bestsellers that you want out there because you want the information. You know, I don't want to live in a society where everything is just fiction books. You know, that's fine, but I mean, if you want to really get an understanding of the universe and how things operate and stuff, you have to get out of the framework of fiction books. So, you know, it's just the kind of the sign of the times, you know, and there's really not a whole lot you can do about it right as now. So that ends this broadcast.